It's good to have goals in life and to have goals that are worthwhile, goals that have meaning and significance. People have all kinds of goals, but it's good to have goals that actually have significance. And part of that is what the message of our life is going to be and how we're going to use the lifetime that we have here on Earth. A few years ago, I was traveling and I was flying from Thunder Bay to Toronto. The man on the flight next to me, in the seat next to me, slept a fair bit of the way to Toronto, but as we got closer to Toronto, he got awake, and so we got to talking. And I was asking where he's going, and he was saying, "Well, actually, he's going to Alberta. He works in the oil fields there, and he said he does 2 weeks in the oil fields and then 2 weeks at home." And so he's just heading back from his 2 weeks at home to go back and work in the oil fields. And so I was telling him, well, that must be a really good job. And he was saying, well, yeah, it is. And he was saying, well, he's there. He can work lots of hours and he's away from home anyway. So he just works lots of hours. And I kind of forget, but it was either 12 or $15,000 that he said he makes every 2 weeks working in the oil fields. And so I started adding that up. If he does that 12 times a year, that's a lot of money. And so I was asking him, so what are you going to do with that money? Like, that's a lot of money in a year's time. So what are you going to do with that money? Uh, and he was like, well, I'm going to work 3 more years and I'm going to retire and I'll never work another day in the rest of my life. I was like, okay, you don't look that old. Like, how old will you be when you retire? He said, well, I'll be 53. I said, yeah, so you're going to be 53 years old. You're going to retire. You're never going to work another day for the rest of your life. Like, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? Oh, he said, I'm going to buy a motorcycle and ride around North America and chase women. Well, so I guess that's one way to spend retirement. And we talked a little more, and then he asked me, he said, so where are you from? I told him I'm from Sioux Lookout. And he's like, oh, okay, what do you do in Sioux Lookout? I told him I'm a pastor. And I could just see the wheels starting to turn in his head. Like, what all did I say to this guy? And he said, well, I certainly believe there's somebody up there. He was saying, I used to be on drugs and alcohol, and I went to AA, and they told me you have to believe in a higher power. And I know I couldn't have quit that stuff by myself. I know somebody up there helped me. And I said, well, that's good. And so, there must be other men in the oil fields that are addicted to drugs and alcohol, and you could probably help them to find a way out of that addiction. Yeah, yeah, he said there are, and well, we talked then some about things that I'm involved in overseas and open hands and the savings group programs and things, and then as we got to Toronto, we were just getting ready to get off the plane, and I said to him, you know, my goal is to live my life in such a way that when I die, there are going to be people in the world whose lives are better than they would have been if I hadn't chosen to live my life the way I did. And he said, yeah, I think I know what you're trying to say. And I said, yeah, I think you do. So, we can make a retirement plan. We can decide what we're going to do with our lives. But I really encourage you, live your life in a way that when you die, there are going to be people in the world alive who have a better life because of the way you chose to live your life. That's what I want to do with my life.